So when have you had to rethink or refeel, depending on the way you make decisions, a belief or a boundary or a way of looking at the world because someone or something unexpected showed up? We have a very human moment from Jesus today. A very human moment from our Savior, who is both fully divine and, in this instance, fully human. A human moment where Jesus tries to draw a line around who is worthy, who is a child of God, or not. Human moments. We have good human moments, and we have not so good human moments. And I don't know about you, but my very not so good human moments are often rooted in fear. Sometimes it's fear that comes from the right place. There are reasons to be fearful, but it's fear. So what are your fears? And have you ever had to rethink them? I grew up in the era of stranger danger, right? Remember stranger danger? Right? I was taught, like all the kids of my age, to be deathly afraid of strangers, of course for all the right reasons. The message was drilled home into us. Strangers are dangerous, scary, they could hurt you. Don't go into a stranger's home. Don't talk to strangers. Never accept candy from a stranger. If a stranger tells you they have a puppy they want you to see, they don't. Strangers equal danger, real danger. Be afraid. And when my kids were born, I had to rethink that very deeply held fear, because I was still afraid of strangers, but now there was sort of this extra they could hurt my children sense. But I knew, at least in my head, I knew that it's not usually strangers that hurt our children. And I needed to think about, and for me, feel, how I wanted my girls to perceive the world. Is it a scary place or a good place? Are people bad or good? Are strangers going to hurt them or help them? I had to rethink my very human fears about what strangers are and the lines I wanted to create in their lives. So when have you needed to rethink, relearn, unlearn a belief or a fear? And when have you had a very human moment? Because this is a very human moment for Jesus. It's one of the few times we hear Jesus say something uncompassionate, unkind. He called mean. I mean, let's be honest, it's mean. He calls the woman a dog, not in a nice way, for those of us who like dogs. He's refusing to help her. He's refusing to heal her daughter because she's not like him. She is other. She's a Gentile. She's a woman and different and therefore unworthy of his notice and care. And it's really yucky. I don't think there's a nice way to say it. But Jesus, who is both fully divine and fully human, in this very human moment of putting up boundaries and drawing lines about who is deserving of compassion, in this very human moment, Jesus gets absolutely schooled by this woman, checked on his privilege, we might say today. God, through her, swoops in and opens God's own Son up more fully to kindness. And Jesus has to rethink and reevaluate what he believes. And in this very fully human moment leads to learning. He learns from the encounter and he takes it forward into the next encounter that's still out in the Gentile world. His worldview is open and his compassion is expanded. This human moment created a place of grace. So when have you had to rethink, refeel, reevaluate in a human moment and instead found grace. On a very busy Saturday at the aquarium, when Amelia was about 4, she disappeared. 1 second, she was climbing a rock, and the next second, she was nowhere. The place was full. It was Saturday. It was loud. People were laughing and kids were screaming, and there were adults and kids everywhere. And all of those deep-seated fears bubbled right to the surface. There was terror. The bad thoughts start to multiply when seconds turn to minutes. No one was going to notice my little girl screaming as some scary stranger hauled her out of the aquarium, because kids do sometimes have temper tantrums when they leave fun places. No one would notice a stranger hurting my child. I was absolutely panicked. We were running, we were calling, and we found her by the front door, the complete opposite end of the aquarium, with a stranger. The stranger was looking for us. Amelia had panicked for a second, and then she found someone. She figured a mom with kids would help her. And that mom didn't steal her or hurt her. She showed her and us compassion. And it was a moment of grace. I had drawn a line. I had a very human reaction, a line around who was safe and who was scary. And God swooped in through the kindness of a stranger and opened it up to create grace. And it seems like that happens anytime we put a boundary around who's in and who's out and who's good and who's bad, who we listen to and who we just tune out. God will swoop in and remind us that compassion and kindness and justice are bigger than us, and open us wider to the belovedness and goodness in people. There is grace. And I think that's all the more true in this time where I think people are drawing a lot of lines. It's election time, and what is an election time but people drawing lines? It's also a time of more and more extreme ideologies, people not trusting sort of medical authorities and governments, and a time where people are often living in fear. People are displaced by war and climate emergency. We are dealing and rethinking and reevaluating our relationship to the land, to the people who were here before us, and rethinking our relationship to the people who come after us, and how we are all so deeply connected. There are a lot of human moments right now, but our human moments can lead to grace. Because even Jesus, God's own Son, our Savior who we follow, had human moments, had a fully human moment, and tried to put a boundary around compassion, only to have God swoop in through this amazing woman and cause him to rethink what it means to be a child of God. It's grace. So what fears are you holding on to? What beliefs, what lines is God pulling on you to rethink, refeel, reevaluate? And where is God showing you grace through your human moments? When has someone shown you an unexpected kindness? Amen.